What makes one woman stay true while another destroys everything you've built? It's not random, and it's not fate. It's in the choices she makes every single day. One respects the bond, even when tempted. The other uses temptation as an excuse to betray. Most men can't tell the difference until the damage is already done. But you don't have to be blind. There are 7 signs that separate women who stay from women who stray. And once you know them, you'll finally see who's by your side and who's waiting to stab you in the back. Now, I'll show you the very first sign that exposes a woman's true nature. And it's not what most men expect. Number 1. Look at how she handles emotional responsibility. This is where the first cracks always show. A disloyal woman will rarely, if ever, admit her role in the problems inside the relationship. Every fight, every cold silence, every disappointment somehow becomes your fault. She points the finger at boredom, at routine, at your supposed lack of attention. And here's the painful truth. Many men accept it. They take on the weight of every flaw, thinking if they just try harder, if they just give more, things will get better. But that's the trap. A loyal woman experiences the same temptations, the same frustrations, but she has something the other never developed: self-control. She respects the bond enough to confront discomfort rather than escape it. She has the maturity to say, "This bothers me," instead of letting resentment rot in silence. The difference may sound subtle, but it's not. One woman shifts the blame, the other takes ownership. One destroys trust by refusing to face herself. The other builds respect by being honest. Imagine the pain of carrying a relationship on your shoulders while she walks free of responsibility. That invisible weight crushes a man's confidence. Over time, he stops trusting his own judgment because every argument ends with him apologizing for things he didn't even do. That erosion is deadly to a man's self-respect. If you want to know who you're truly dealing with, stop listening to excuses and start watching how she responds when she's called out. Does she deflect or does she reflect? Does she twist the narrative or does she own her part? Emotional responsibility isn't just a detail. It's the root system of loyalty. A woman who refuses to hold herself accountable is already halfway out the door. You just haven't seen it yet. Number 2. Pay attention to how she handles closeness when things get uncomfortable. A woman who is not loyal doesn't break away overnight. She withdraws little by little. She goes cold in conversations, avoids eye contact, disappears for hours with vague excuses. She laughs with friends but falls silent with you. You feel her body next to yours, but her mind has already walked away. That is not harmless distance. It's the slow suffocation of intimacy. And here's the worst part. Many men sense it, but choose to ignore it. They tell themselves she's just stressed, just busy, just tired. But deep down, they feel the chill. They feel the way she no longer leans in when she talks, the way she suddenly guards her phone, the way she avoids serious discussions. These are not random mood swings. They are signals of emotional escape. A loyal woman doesn't vanish when tension rises. She faces the uncomfortable truth, even if it stings. She sits down, looks you in the eye, and says, "Something feels off." She doesn't hide behind silence because she knows silence is poison. Her loyalty isn't about perfection, it's about courage. Courage to stay present even when the conversation cuts deep. Picture the man who ignores the red flags. He keeps waiting for her warmth to return, waiting for the affection that used to feel natural. But instead of honesty, he gets distance. That emotional abandonment is one of the most painful betrayals because you're still there, trying, while she's already halfway gone. So ask yourself this. When she feels unhappy, does she disappear into coldness, or does she bring it to the table? Does she pull away like a ghost, or does she lean in to work things out? That difference decides whether you're building trust or waiting for the inevitable collapse. Number 3. Watch the way she tests you. Every woman will test a man at some point. It's part of human insecurity. But the difference lies in her intention. A disloyal woman doesn't test to connect. She tests to manipulate. She thrives on emotional chaos. She throws out little traps, complimenting another man in front of you, comparing you to her ex, poking at your weaknesses just to see if you'll lose control. Then she sits back and watches your reaction like it's a game. If you explode, she loses respect. If you stay quiet and take it, she still loses respect. It's a rigged system. You can't win because the point isn't love, it's power. A loyal woman may test too, but her tests are rooted in vulnerability, not destruction. She might say, "Do you still find me attractive?" Or, "I miss how we used to spend time." Her goal is reassurance, not control. She challenges you to step closer, not to tear you down. That's the crucial difference most men miss. The danger of falling for manipulative tests is not just the momentary conflict. It's the erosion of your masculine identity. When you accept devaluation, when you tolerate constant comparisons, you unconsciously tell her it's acceptable to keep chipping away at you. Over time, you don't even recognize yourself. Think about it. A woman who truly respects you will challenge you to grow, but never in a way that humiliates you. A woman who plans to betray will provoke until you break, because breaking you is how she convinces herself she's still in control. The line is clear if you're willing to see it. Are her tests coming from insecurity or from manipulation? From a desire for closeness or a hunger for chaos? That answer will tell you exactly which path your relationship is heading down. Number 4. Listen carefully to the way she talks about her past. A disloyal woman rarely admits the full story. Her history is a patchwork of vague explanations and edited details. Ask her about an ex and she shrugs. It was complicated. Press for more and she dodges. That's in the past, it doesn't matter. But here's the truth. It always matters, because patterns repeat. If she never faced her mistakes, she's likely to carry them straight into the next chapter. And guess what? That next chapter could be you. A loyal woman doesn't need to paint a perfect picture. She owns her scars. She can tell you where she went wrong, what she learned, and how she's different now. Her honesty might sting, but it's real. She doesn't hide behind denial because she knows growth only comes from acknowledging the mess. That's why her past feels clear. You can see the progression from immaturity to maturity. That's a woman who has built character. Now imagine discovering too late that her friend was actually an old flame she never let go of. Or realizing every breakup in her history ended with the same vague excuse. That's not coincidence, that's a cycle. And men who ignore these red flags often wake up to the painful realization that they weren't chosen for love. They were just filling a familiar role in her repeated drama. When you pay attention, the signs are always there. A woman who hides, evades, or changes her story, depending on who's asking, is revealing more than she thinks. She's telling you she hasn't processed her past, she hasn't grown from it, and she hasn't left it behind. The question you must ask isn't just, what happened before me? It's, what did she learn from it? Because a woman who refuses to face her past doesn't rewrite her story. She simply relives it with a new character. And unless you're careful, that character could be you. Number 5. Watch how she treats flirting. For a disloyal woman, flirting isn't harmless fun. It's her social currency. She flirts at work, on social media, with strangers at the bar. It's how she feeds her ego. She thrives on the looks, the attention, the little rush of knowing she still has options. And here's the brutal truth. She doesn't stop when she's in a relationship. In fact, sometimes she doubles down, using her connection with you as proof of her desirability to other men. A loyal woman sees flirting differently. She knows that every glance, every playful comment, every innocent laugh at the wrong time carries weight. She values discretion because she respects the trust you've built. That doesn't mean she's invisible. It means she's intentional. She understands that too much energy aimed outward eventually cracks what's inside. Now picture this. You're standing right next to her, and she's giggling with another man, leaning in just a little too close. You feel that knot in your chest, the sting of humiliation. But when you bring it up, she says, "Relax, I'm just being friendly." That's not friendliness. That's devaluation disguised as charm. And if you ignore it, it becomes the new normal. Men often confuse charisma with loyalty. They think a woman who craves constant male attention is just social. But there's a razor-thin line between being social and being on the market. A woman who is truly loyal will never make her partner question where her loyalty lies. She knows the difference between confidence and carelessness. Flirting isn't always cheating, but it opens doors that should never be opened, and a woman who treats it as a lifestyle is always testing the market, even when she claims she's committed. The question you must ask isn't whether she's physically unfaithful yet. It's whether her behavior shows emotional loyalty. Because once respect slips, betrayal isn't far behind. Number 6. Pay attention to how she talks about freedom. A disloyal woman loves to wave the freedom flag, but not because she values independence. It's because she wants a shield to hide behind. She'll say things like, "I don't owe anyone an explanation," or "I'm free, I can do whatever I want." On the surface, it sounds confident. In reality, it's just a loophole. It's a way to justify disappearing for hours, chatting with other men online, posting provocative pictures, and then flipping the script when you ask about it. Suddenly, you're the problem. You're jealous, you're insecure, you're the one trying to control her. A loyal woman values freedom too, but she understands that real freedom comes with responsibility. She knows that being in a relationship doesn't mean being trapped. It means being committed. Her independence is steady, not reckless. She respects time, boundaries, and space because she recognizes that freedom without responsibility is just chaos dressed up as empowerment. Now imagine the emotional trap of being called controlling just because you asked for respect. You're not demanding ownership. You're drawing a boundary. But if she twists that into weakness, you start doubting yourself. You walk on eggshells, afraid to be labeled insecure, while she keeps pushing limits. That confusion destroys trust faster than any argument. True freedom builds connection. It says, "I choose to be with you, and I don't need to test the limits to prove it." Fake freedom tears it down. It hides shady behavior behind a mask of independence. And here's the key. A woman who truly respects herself won't need to remind you she's free. Her actions will show maturity, not manipulation. So when she talks about freedom, listen carefully. Is she using it as an excuse to avoid accountability? Or does she see freedom as a way to strengthen the bond? The answer will reveal whether she's building trust or quietly dismantling it while you're left defending yourself against accusations that were never yours to carry. Number 7. Watch how she handles conflict and even how she reacts to compliments. This is where the mask usually slips. A disloyal woman cannot stand the heat of emotional pressure. When tension rises, she doesn't step forward. She steps away. She shuts down, disappears, avoids the hard conversations. Sometimes she's physically present, but emotionally absent, cold, indifferent, numb. That silence isn't peace, it's punishment. It's how she escapes responsibility without ever saying the words. A loyal woman doesn't vanish when things get hard. She may not like conflict, but she respects it as part of real love. She'll argue, she'll cry, she'll say what hurts, but she stays. because she knows leaving the table doesn't solve anything. It's in the storm where loyalty proves itself. Now let's add another layer, how she responds to compliments. A woman who is not loyal craves them like oxygen. Every like, every message, every stare across the room fuels her ego. She depends on male validation, the way a smoker depends on nicotine. If you don't praise her enough, she resents you. That hunger doesn't stop. It grows until she looks for it elsewhere. Contrast that with a loyal woman. Of course, she appreciates compliments, but they don't define her. She doesn't need 100 strangers to tell her she's beautiful to believe in her worth. Her calm energy doesn't shift depending on who notices her. And because she doesn't need outside approval to feel secure, she doesn't put her partner in a constant state of doubt. Think of the damage when both conflict and validation become weapons. When she disappears during arguments and feeds off outside praise, a man slowly loses himself. He questions his role, his value, even his sanity. That erosion doesn't happen overnight. It happens through silence and hunger for attention. So pay attention to these two windows, conflict and compliments. They reveal more about her loyalty than 1,000 promises. If she runs from the storm and chases external validation, she's not building trust. She's breaking it, piece by piece. Now let's go beyond the differences and talk about your strategy as a man. Recognizing the signs is powerful, but knowledge without action is useless. Too many men see the red flags, feel the distance, and still choose silence. They convince themselves it will change, that she'll come back around, that love alone will fix it. But silence doesn't protect you. It weakens you. Every day you excuse manipulation or disrespect, you're teaching yourself to settle for less than you deserve. The first strategy is simple but hard. Set boundaries early and clearly. If she dodges responsibility, call it out. If she flirts for attention, don't laugh it off. Address it. Boundaries are not about control. They're about self-respect. A woman who truly values you will respect those lines. A woman who doesn't will fight them, twist them, or shame you for drawing them. That reaction tells you more than her words ever could. Second, focus on patterns, not promises. Anyone can promise loyalty, but behavior reveals the truth. Watch what she does when pressure rises, how she treats your presence, how she explains her past. Patterns are more honest than intentions. Third, stop carrying the relationship alone. If you're the only one working, the only one fighting for stability, you're not in a partnership. You're in captivity. And the longer you stay, the more you shrink. Freedom comes from admitting when you're the only one holding the weight. And finally, accept this truth. You cannot control loyalty. That choice is hers. What you can control is how quickly you recognize the warning signs and how firmly you protect your dignity. That's the difference between being drained for years and walking away with your self-respect intact. So don't just study these differences. Live by them. Use them as a compass. Because the man who protects his emotional space is the man who never has to beg for loyalty again. You've seen it clearly now. The differences between a woman who stays and a woman who strays aren't hidden in the shadows. They're in plain sight, written into how she handles responsibility, how she deals with distance, how she tests you, how she speaks about her past, how she flirts, how she defines freedom, and how she faces conflict. None of these are small details. They're the foundation on which loyalty or betrayal is built. The danger isn't that these signs don't exist. The danger is that most men refuse to see them until it's too late. They tell themselves it's just stress, or just a phase, or just part of love. But love without awareness is blind. And blindness in a relationship doesn't protect you. It traps you. Here's the truth. You can't stop a woman from making her choice. Loyalty can't be demanded. But what you can do is sharpen your vision Strengthen your boundaries and refuse to carry a relationship that's built on excuses and manipulation. That's not control. It's self-respect. So I'll ask you directly, are you going to ignore what you've just learned, or are you going to use it as armor? The difference between years of wasted time and a future of strength starts with that choice. If this video opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with another man who needs to wake up before it's too late. Hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment with the words, "Now I see clearly." That way, I'll know you're part of the men who are no longer walking blind. And remember this, you may never control who a woman decides to be, but you can always control how you respond. That control, that calm, unshakable awareness is the real freedom of a man. Every man thinks he's safe until he finds out he wasn't. She told you what you wanted to hear. She played the role perfectly, and because you were blinded by attraction, you missed the truth that was staring you in the face. Loyalty isn't about what she says, it's about what she shows. Ignore that reality, and you'll join the long list of men who thought their situation was different. I don't want that for you. Stay with me, because I'm going to reveal 10 signs she'll never be a loyal woman. Miss even one, and you could lose years of your life to the wrong person. As a psychologist and relationship coach, I've spent years studying how women reveal their loyalty, or their lack of it, without even realizing. That's why I want you to subscribe right now, so you don't miss the insights that could save you years of wasted time. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever been blindsided by a partner you thought was loyal? Share it in the comments because your story could help another man wake up. Now, let's get into the first sign, the most overlooked behavior that tells you if she's truly loyal or if she's a ticking time bomb. Number 1, she dresses like she's advertising herself. Let me be clear. There's a difference between style and strategy. Not every woman who dresses attractively is unfaithful. Some do it for fashion, self-expression, or simply because it makes them feel good. But a woman who constantly steps out in outfits that scream for attention isn't expressing creativity. She's broadcasting availability. Short skirts, deep cleavage, clothes so tight you can see her breakfast. This isn't fashion, it's marketing. And who is she marketing to? Not you, my friend. You already bought the product. That display is for every other man with a wandering eye. Now, she'll tell you the classic line. I dress for myself. That's the biggest lie men fall for. Nobody spends hours on hair, makeup, squeezing into uncomfortable shoes that tear their feet apart just to feel pretty. It's about supply and demand. Every glance from a stranger is a dopamine hit, a small rush that says, I still have options. And if she constantly needs that validation, your attention will never be enough. Here's the brutal truth. A woman who cannot survive without being seen by dozens of men will eventually seek more than just looks. When one source of attention runs dry, she'll need backups. You'll find yourself competing not with another man, but with the entire audience she's trying to captivate. And let me tell you, that is a competition you will never win. A loyal woman doesn't need a spotlight. She doesn't dress to prove her worth to strangers. She already knows who she belongs to, and she shows it by reserving her presence for you, not for the crowd. Number 2, her social media has become a stage. Look closely at her online world. If her Instagram looks less like a photo album and more like an audition tape, you're not in a relationship. You're watching a performance. Bikini shots, gym selfies cropped just right, endless stories designed to provoke thirsty comments. This isn't about memories. It's about building an audience. And make no mistake, an audience is never loyal to one fan. You'll hear the excuses. I just like sharing my life. Or, it's for my fitness journey. Don't get fooled. when every post is designed to highlight her body, when every angle screams, "Look at me." The purpose isn't documentation, it's marketing, just like we talked about before. And what comes with marketing? Leads, prospects, options. Here's the cold equation. When a woman consistently puts herself on display for public approval, she's essentially running an open competition. Today, you might be the winner, but tomorrow, someone else will place a better bid. That's not insecurity talking, that's simple math. Exposure plus attention eventually equals temptation. And pay attention to how she interacts with her followers. Responding with heart emojis, playful comments, inside jokes with men you've never met. Those aren't harmless. That's fuel. She's keeping the engine running with dozens of invisible suitors lined up behind the curtain. A loyal woman doesn't need a digital fan club. She doesn't need to broadcast her body for validation. She invests her energy into the relationship, not into strangers' news feeds. If her phone looks like a stage, then you're not her partner. You're just her current subscriber. Number 3. Her wild past never really disappears. Men love to believe they're the exception. You meet a woman who used to be out every weekend, closing down clubs, living for the thrill, and she tells you, "That was the old me. I've grown up now." And you want to believe her. You want to think you're the reason she settled down. But let me tell you something most men don't want to hear. The party girl never dies. She only hibernates. Behavior creates wiring. The brain doesn't just forget years of chasing adrenaline, attention, and novelty. That thrill becomes part of her programming. It's like carving grooves into stone. Once they're there, they don't disappear. You can paint over it with routine, marriage, even children. But the moment stress hits, the paint thins, and the old patterns bleed through. Watch carefully. When life gets boring, when responsibilities pile up, when routine sets in, what does she crave? Suddenly, she needs a girls' night. Suddenly, she's reconnecting with old party friends. Suddenly, she's talking about how she misses feeling young. That's not nostalgia. That's a relapse waiting to happen. Here's the truth most men ignore. You don't reform a thrill seeker with stability. You only delay the inevitable. And who represents the ultimate routine more than a long-term partner? You. Which means eventually she'll look for that missing spark outside of you. A loyal woman doesn't need the chaos of her past to feel alive. But if her history is full of chasing excitement, understand this. It isn't history. It's a sleeping pattern waiting to wake up. And when it does, you'll realize she was never really finished with that life. She was just on intermission. Number 4. She has more male friends than female friends. On the surface, it might look harmless. She says, "I just get along better with guys." And you nod, wanting to believe it. But deep down, you know something doesn't add up. Women understand women. If she can't maintain close female friendships, but somehow has a lineup of male companions, that's not coincidence, that's strategy. Here's the psychology. Men don't orbit around women for no reason. They're not there for long conversations about her favorite books. They're there because they're waiting for an opening. Every just friend is a potential replacement, a backup plan, an escape hatch she keeps warm in case things with you go cold. And she knows it, she enjoys it, she cultivates it. Notice the pattern. Her male friends comment on every photo, text her late at night, invite her places you're not included. That isn't friendship. That's a revolving door of suitors waiting for their turn. And by keeping those connections alive, she's essentially running what I call a loyalty prevention program. The truth is simple. Loyal women understand boundaries. They know that when you're in a committed relationship, most of those opposite-sex friendships fade away or transition into friendships you share as a couple. What they don't do is maintain a private roster of men cheering from the sidelines. If she has more male friends than female ones, you're not in a safe position. You're in a waiting room. And the men sitting around her aren't friends. They're candidates. Number 5. Every ex was the villain. Listen carefully to how she talks about her past relationships. If every single story ends the same way, he was abusive, he was a narcissist, he was the problem. You're not hearing her history, you're hearing her excuse for the future. Here's the psychology. Someone who refuses to take responsibility for failure never learns from it. And if she hasn't learned, she will repeat the same pattern. Only this time, you're the one cast in the role of the bad guy. It's already written into her script. When she cheats, when she disrespects you, when she moves on, it won't be her fault. It will be yours. She'll rewrite the story until you're the one who caused her pain, the one who didn't love her enough, the one who held her back. Sure, it's possible for someone to have 1 or 2 rough relationships. But when every ex is painted as a monster, the common denominator isn't the men, it's her. That's not bad luck. That's a refusal to face her own behavior. And here's what most men don't see. By rescuing a woman who always plays the victim, you're signing up to become her next villain. She doesn't need healing. She needs accountability. And if she hasn't taken it yet, she won't start with you. A loyal woman doesn't rewrite history to protect her ego. She owns her part, even when it hurts. But the eternal victim? She's already rehearsing the speech where you're the next name on her list of villains. Number 6. She craves drama and fears peace. A healthy relationship should feel calm, steady, even boring at times. But for some women, calm feels like death. They grew up in chaos, they got addicted to emotional roller coasters, and now their nervous system doesn't know how to survive without constant spikes of intensity. To them, peace isn't safety, it's emptiness. Watch her closely. When things are good between you two, does she suddenly pick fights over nothing? Does she create problems where none exist? Does she stir up tension just to feel alive? That's not passion. It's dysfunction. And for women wired this way, cheating isn't about your failures. It's about creating another high. Sneaking around, the danger of being caught, the thrill of the forbidden. This is all just fuel for their addiction to chaos. Here's the painful truth. The more stable you are, the more restless she becomes. You can give her love, money, security, and commitment. But if she's addicted to drama, your very stability will suffocate her. She'll look outside the relationship, not because she needs something you lack, but because she needs intensity you can't and shouldn't provide. A loyal woman knows how to appreciate peace. She can enjoy a quiet Sunday, a simple evening, a week without fireworks. But the drama addict? She'll destroy peace every time, and when the usual fights aren't enough anymore, she'll escalate. Cheating isn't a betrayal in her mind. It's just the next episode in her never-ending show. Number 7. She doesn't respect small boundaries. Pay attention to the little things. A woman who brushes off your simplest requests is giving you a preview of how she'll handle the bigger ones. If she checks your phone but refuses to let you touch hers. If she flirts with other men, but flips out when you talk to women. If she makes rules for you that don't apply to her. That's not equality, that's entitlement. Boundaries are like muscles. If someone can't lift the light weights, they won't be able to handle the heavy ones. If she can't respect "don't text your ex," then don't expect her to respect "don't betray this relationship." It's the same principle, just a different level of resistance. Watch how she reacts when you set even the smallest boundary. Does she respect it? Does she test it? Does she mock it? Or worse, does she flip it back on you and accuse you of being controlling? That reaction tells you everything. Because a loyal woman doesn't fight boundaries. She understands they're the guardrails that keep a relationship safe. The mistake most men make is ignoring these early signs, thinking it's just a small issue. But those small issues are practice runs for faithfulness. A woman who dismisses them is already showing you that rules don't apply to her. Here's the truth. If she can't pass the small tests, she will fail the big one. And the price you'll pay isn't a minor inconvenience. It's your trust, your peace, and eventually your relationship. Number 8. She moves too fast in love. It feels flattering at first. She tells you she loves you after just a few weeks. She wants to move in right away. She acts like you've been together for years when you've barely started. Most men mistake this intensity for passion. They think, she must really see something special in me. But here's the truth. She doesn't love you. She loves the idea of being in love. This behavior isn't romance, it's instability. Women who attach instantly also detach instantly. They're not choosing you after careful thought. They're grabbing onto whoever is available. That's not loyalty. That's fear of being alone. And fear-driven attachment always comes with overlap. She doesn't leave one man until she has another lined up, which means while she's with you, she's already scanning for the next lily pad to jump to. Here's what most men miss. If she fell for you overnight, she'll fall for someone else just as quickly. You're not unique, you're interchangeable. You're not the exception, you're just the current host for her need to avoid solitude. A loyal woman takes her time. She builds slowly, with intention. She doesn't confuse infatuation with commitment. But the instant girlfriend? She's like a firework, blazing bright at the start, gone in seconds. And when that flame dies, she won't stay to rebuild. She'll already be moving on to her next spark. Number 9. She constantly compares you to other men. It starts small. She mentions her ex was taller. She points out her friend's husband makes more money. She jokes about how some actor has better abs. At first, you brush it off. It sounds harmless. But understand what's really happening. Those comments aren't observations. They're measurements. She's keeping a mental scorecard, and you're in a competition you never agreed to enter. Here's the psychology. When someone truly chooses you, the comparison ends. You're not perfect, but you're hers. That's loyalty. But a woman who constantly compares is shopping. She's evaluating. She's keeping her options open under the disguise of casual remarks. And today you might be winning, but the game never stops. Watch how this escalates. At first, it's subtle. Jake's girlfriend is so lucky he cooks for her. Then it becomes direct. Why can't you be more like that? And eventually, it turns into justification. Marcus appreciates me more than you do. What she doesn't tell you is that Marcus is already the man she's emotionally investing in. The danger here isn't just jealousy, it's erosion. Comparison eats away at gratitude. If she's always scanning the horizon for someone better, she will never fully value what's in front of her. A loyal woman doesn't treat her relationship like a marketplace. She doesn't weigh you against every man she meets. She chooses once and for all. But the comparison queen? She never stops choosing, and one day she'll choose herself right out of your life. Number 10. She keeps parts of her life hidden from you. There's a difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy is normal. We all deserve our own space. But secrecy is deliberate. It's compartmentalization. And when a woman builds walls between you and entire sections of her life, you're not her partner. You're just a guest in one of her many worlds. Pay attention to the signs. Her phone is always face down, locked with codes you don't know. She has social media accounts you've never seen. She talks about friends you've never met. She disappears into work or girls' nights that somehow never include you. This isn't independence. It's insulation. She's constructing multiple versions of herself, and you only have access to the one she allows. Here's the reality. Loyal women are open books, not because they have to be, but because they have nothing to hide. If her phone dies, she can hand you hers without thinking. Her friends know you. Her online life includes you. Her storylines match up no matter who's listening. But the secret keeper lives a double life. And double lives always collapse, usually on top of the man who trusted her. She'll frame it as, "I just need my privacy," but don't be fooled. Those compartments aren't about healthy space. They're about undisclosed activity. If she's separating her life into locked boxes, ask yourself why. Because the truth is, when loyalty exists, integration follows naturally. And when secrecy rules, betrayal is only a matter of time. You've just heard the 10 clearest signs that a woman will never be loyal. If you recognized more than one of them in the woman you're with, don't brush it off. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. And patterns don't lie. Here's the part most men hate to face. You cannot transform disloyalty into loyalty. Love doesn't reform it. Commitment doesn't fix it. Sacrifice doesn't heal it. Trying to build loyalty in a woman who lacks it is like trying to build a house on quicksand. You can pour in all the effort and resources you want, but the foundation will always collapse beneath you. And this is where you have to turn the mirror on yourself. Because the real danger isn't just her behavior, it's your blindness. It's the way you saw the signs and ignored them. The way you painted red flags green because you wanted the fantasy more than the truth. That's the moment you stopped being a victim and became a volunteer. Loyalty isn't something you teach, bargain for, or earn. It's a core trait. Women who are loyal don't need to be convinced. They've always been loyal, and they don't know how to be anything else. The tragedy is that too many men waste years trying to rehabilitate women who never had that foundation to begin with. So here's the challenge. Stop trying to change what's unchangeable. Raise your standards. Walk away from poison, no matter how attractive the bottle looks. And understand that being alone is far less painful than being betrayed. If this video woke you up, then do something about it. Subscribe now so you never miss these truths that can save you years of heartbreak. Hit like if this spoke to you, and share it with a friend who might be ignoring the same signs. And drop a comment with your story, because your lesson might be the warning that saves another man's future. Your next move, and the cost is brutal. Wasted time, broken trust, and years you can't get back. The harsh reality is that character doesn't reveal itself in romantic gestures or sweet words. It reveals itself when no one's watching and when she doesn't need you anymore. And here's the secret. There are only 2 silent tests that cut through all the noise. 2 hidden signals that expose who she really is beneath the surface. Once you learn them, you'll never mistake convenience for commitment again. Let's break down those 2 tests before you risk giving your heart to the wrong woman. As a psychologist and relationship coach, I've worked with countless men who gave years of their lives to women who looked perfect on the surface. But the truth came out when they least expected it. Don't let that be your story. Subscribe, like this video, and share your own experience in the comments. Have you ever trusted someone only to discover later it was just a performance? Because what I'm about to reveal will help you see past the act and recognize the real markers of character. Men don't get destroyed by obvious betrayal. They get softened by comfort. You've been trained to read love by the easy metrics. Sweet words, affectionate gestures, and how smooth everything feels when life isn't throwing punches. That's why smart men still miss the truth. You're measuring the weather, not the climate. You're grading performance in ideal conditions and assuming that equals character. It doesn't. Here's the psychological trap. In comfort, anyone can perform. Attention is cheap when there's no friction. Affection is abundant when there's no cost. Even accountability looks noble when nothing is at stake. Those signals seduce you because they confirm what you want to believe. She's warm, we vibe, we're good. But warmth and vibe are states, not standards. And states lie. Impression management turns a lot of adults into part-time actors. We all curate. We all polish. She might not even be malicious. She's human. When there's an audience, we all tighten up our behavior. When the audience leaves, our defaults return. That's why the real read is never what she does when the moment is lovely. It's what she repeats when the moment is neutral. Comfort hides, but silence reveals. If you keep evaluating her by compliments, cuddles, and curated weekends, you'll overvalue chemistry and undervalue character. Chemistry tells you how good the time is. Character tells you how safe the future is. The men who get blindsided confuse relief with reliability. Relief feels like, finally, someone who gets me. Reliability sounds boring in comparison. Patterns, principles, consistency. But that's what carries you when life tilts. So what should you actually look at? Not debates, not dramatic tests, not trap questions. Look for behavior in the spaces with no scoreboard, no likes, no eyes, no immediate prize. When there's nothing to gain and no one to impress, people default to who they are. That's why I'm going to give you 2 silent tests in a moment. 2 places where her real baseline shows through without a speech, a selfie, or a performance. Before we go there, I need you to drop 2 habits that sabotage you. First, stop treating suspicion and discernment like the same thing. Suspicion is fear, looking for evidence. Discernment is wisdom, collecting data. You're not a detective, you're a witness. Second, stop arguing with words and start auditing patterns. Words are forecasts. Patterns are weather records. If her record contradicts her forecast, believe the record. Here's a reframe that will save you years. Character isn't a promise. It's a pattern under 2 conditions, no audience and no incentive. If she stays aligned when the spotlight is off and stays respectful when you're no longer a resource, you're not guessing anymore. You're seeing. I can already hear the pushback. Isn't this cold? Isn't love about trust? Yes, trust that has been earned by consistent evidence. I'm not asking you to police her. I'm asking you to protect you. You've paid for too many illusions with your peace. You don't need to test a good woman with games. You simply need to notice what's already true when no one is clapping and when nothing is owed. So the plan is simple. We'll anchor your attention on 2 quiet checkpoints and let reality do the talking. No drama, no traps, just clear lenses. If she's the real thing, these moments will confirm it and deepen your respect. If she isn't, they'll surface the mismatch early, before you invest the parts of your life you can't get back. Now let's move from theory to practice. The first silent test is where most men never look. How she handles freedom when no one is watching. That's where loyalty stops being an outfit and starts, or stops, being a code. When men hear the word freedom, most think it's a gift. But in relationships, freedom is the stage where masks fall. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some women confuse freedom with permission. They treat unmonitored moments like an open bar for attention. The problem isn't that she has space. The problem is what she does with it. See, loyalty isn't a necklace she wears to dinner or a caption she posts under your picture. Loyalty is either stitched into her character or stapled onto her image. And the difference shows when no one is watching. Out in public, it's easy to look committed, smiling, affectionate, maybe even bragging about you to her friends. That's performance. But when the door closes, does she still live by the same standard? Or does she crack the window just wide enough for validation to slip in from another man? Let me give you a story, because abstract ideas don't hit as hard as lived moments. James is 43. Divorced, finally dipping back into dating after years on his own. Through mutual friends, he meets a woman who checks all the boxes on paper, charming, affectionate, and vocal about how much she values him. In public, she beams when he's around. She holds his arm, laughs at his jokes, makes him feel like he's the center of her world. But James is observant. He notices subtle shifts whenever she's out with her girlfriends or traveling alone for work. Her phone gets tucked away faster. Conversations end abruptly if he walks into the room. Harmless? Maybe. But one night he sees a notification flash, just enough to read a line of a message from another man. Nothing explicit, nothing incriminating, just enough to make him question why it was hidden. When he casually asks about her weekend, she dodges, changes topics, and paints the picture of a perfect night out. That's when James realizes something critical. Her loyalty glows in the spotlight but flickers in the dark. Around him, she's polished. Away from him, there are cracks. She isn't betraying him outright, but she's entertaining little doors she wouldn't want him to see. And that's the point. True loyalty doesn't depend on whether you'll find out. It depends on whether she values the bond as sacred, even when it would be easy to bend the rules. Now let's zoom out. James's situation isn't rare. Most men never check the difference between public loyalty and private loyalty because they're too busy enjoying the show. They take the outfit at face value and never ask if there's a code beneath it. But here's the raw test. Does she act the same when the world isn't clapping? If she only performs loyalty when it benefits her image, that's not loyalty, it's branding. This doesn't mean you stalk, spy, or grill her with suspicion. That's insecurity, not wisdom. What it does mean is paying attention to her baseline. How does she handle freedom? Does she treat commitment as a cage she can escape when unsupervised, or as a principle she honors regardless of audience? One answer gives you stability, the other gives you chaos delayed. Men, you need to understand. Freedom doesn't create betrayal. It only exposes it. If betrayal is in her, freedom is the stage where it walks out. If integrity is in her, freedom becomes proof. It's that simple. Don't complicate it. Here's the positive takeaway. The kind of woman worth building with doesn't see commitment as chains. She sees it as alignment with her own values. Whether you're in the room or 1,000 miles away, her behavior matches her words. You don't have to second guess. You don't have to chase reassurance. Her consistency is the reassurance. James walked away, not in anger but in clarity. And that clarity saved him from years of confusion. You owe yourself the same standard. Observe her freedom, not with paranoia, but with open eyes. Because if she protects what's sacred when no one's watching, you've got something rare. If not, you've got a warning. Let's push deeper into the first test, because spotting freedom isn't just about catching slips. It's about understanding the difference between an outfit and a code. I call it loyalty on the outside versus loyalty on the inside. And if you don't learn to distinguish the two, you'll confuse performance for principle. Here's what I mean. Loyalty as an outfit is presentation. She puts it on when it's convenient, when friends are watching, when family is around, when you're close enough to notice. She shows the right moves, affectionate words, loyal signals, maybe even public declarations. It looks good, it feels good, but it's conditional. The moment there's no audience, the outfit comes off. Her behavior shifts because the purpose of the loyalty was never about you, it was about how she appeared. Now, loyalty as a code is different. A code is internal, it's not about performance, it's about principle. She doesn't wear loyalty, she lives it. She doesn't need someone clapping to keep her consistent. Her integrity isn't determined by circumstances, it's anchored in values. And that's what makes her rare. Because most people, men and women, don't operate from a code. They operate from context. They adjust their behavior to the room instead of holding the room to their standard. Think of it like this. An outfit comes off when the crowd leaves. A code stays on even in the dark. And that's why it matters for you. A man who trusts the outfit will always be surprised later. A man who waits for the code will be secure. Psychology has a name for this: impression management. It's the tendency to present the best version of ourselves when we know eyes are on us. That's not evil. It's human. But the problem is when impression management replaces authenticity. If her loyalty is an act designed to impress, it will always fade in private. If it's rooted in her values, it won't matter whether she's praised or unseen. She'll treat the bond as sacred because she is sacred, not because someone is grading her. So how do you, as a man, test this without falling into paranoia? You don't have to interrogate. You don't have to stalk. You simply observe consistency. Does she shift depending on who's watching? Does her tone change in front of friends versus when you're alone? Are her boundaries stable, whether you're in the room or not? Over time, consistency tells you everything words can't. Here's the kicker. A woman who lives by a code doesn't fear being caught. She's not performing. She's aligned. And when you find that kind of alignment, you stop wondering. You stop overanalyzing texts, scrolling for clues, or seeking reassurance. Her life reassures you. That's the kind of peace men rarely talk about, but deeply crave. Don't settle for the outfit. Outfits fade. Outfits can be borrowed. Outfits can be styled to impress. A code is permanent. A code is chosen. A code is proven by repetition, not by applause. And that's why I'll leave you with this line. Integrity is what you do when the door is closed. If she's solid there, she'll be solid anywhere. If she's not, no amount of public loyalty will protect you. There's a second silent test that most men completely overlook. It doesn't show up when you're her provider, her rock, her emotional anchor. It shows up the moment she realizes she doesn't need you anymore. That's when the mask either stays on because it's who she is, or it falls off because the role has been fulfilled. Here's why this test matters. Some women's kindness is tied to benefit. Their patience, their affection, even their respect is fueled by what they're receiving. As long as you're helping her, supporting her, filling gaps in her life, she treats you with warmth. But once she finds her footing, once she's stable financially, emotionally, or socially, the temperature changes. You're no longer essential. And how she handles that transition tells you everything. Let me show you with a story. Michael is 51. After years of being single, he starts dating a woman who, at first, seems deeply appreciative. She leans on him emotionally, calls him after work to decompress, looks to him for reassurance. She also benefits from his stability. He covers dinners, helps her navigate tough decisions, and becomes a steady presence in her life. Michael feels valued, maybe even needed, and that feels good. For a man his age, stepping back into dating, being needed feels like proof of purpose. But then things shift. As months go by, she lands a new job, reconnects with her social circle, and builds a stronger financial base. With her independence growing, Michael notices something. Her tone changes. She cancels plans more often. Conversations feel rushed. When he expresses a need or boundary, she sighs, acts inconvenienced, or even gets irritated. The same man who once felt like her anchor now feels like background noise. Michael doesn't explode. He pays attention. He realizes her respect was tied to her need. When she needed him, she was kind. When she didn't, she was careless. That realization hit harder than any breakup line because it showed him the truth. Her affection was conditional. It wasn't love, it was convenience. This is where most men struggle. They hold on, hoping the warmth returns, bargaining with themselves. Maybe she's just stressed, maybe I'm overthinking. But denial doesn't change patterns. What Michael learned, painfully but clearly, is that the way a woman treats you when she no longer needs you is the sharpest mirror of her soul. It strips away incentives, reveals priorities, and shows you whether she valued you or simply the role you played. Now, don't mistake this test as doom. There are women who pass it beautifully. They don't rewrite history just because their circumstances change. They don't turn cold because they've outgrown dependence. Instead, they stay consistent. They may not need you, but they still respect you. They still acknowledge what you've built together. They treat your presence as a choice, not as a burden. That's grace. That's character. And when you meet a woman like that, you've found someone who loves from value, not from necessity. So here's the warning and the wisdom. Watch the transition. Notice how she acts when the dependency is gone. If she discards kindness once she doesn't need your resources, you've just seen her truest form. If she maintains respect even in independence, you've just seen something rare. Don't confuse temporary gratitude with permanent character. Gratitude fades. Character doesn't. Men, you need to ask yourself, are you with someone who values your essence or your utility? The answer is in the silence after her needs are met. You don't have to test it artificially. Life will do it for you. Just be wise enough to notice when it happens. I'll leave you with this line. The way she treats you when you're no longer necessary. That's the sharpest mirror of her soul. Look into it, because that reflection tells you more about your future than any sweet word or romantic gesture ever could. Let's tie everything together. After watching how she handles freedom and how she treats you when she no longer needs you, there's a final layer of clarity, the difference between love and convenience. This is where most men get burned, not because they didn't see the signs, but because they misread them. Love, at its core, doesn't change when the benefits change. If a woman respects you, she respects you whether you're paying the bill or not. If she honors you whether you're the safety net or simply her partner. Love sustains itself when external incentives fade. It doesn't weaken when the perks disappear. That's what makes it love. Convenience, on the other hand, is transactional. It thrives when you're useful. It thrives when you're filling roles, provider, therapist, rescuer. But once those roles are no longer required, convenience dries up. The woman who loved you for convenience doesn't mistreat you out of cruelty. She simply has no use for the dynamic anymore. And that's what hurts most men, realizing they weren't loved for who they are, but for the benefits attached. Here's the good news. You can spot this difference without running experiments or playing games. Life naturally gives you tests. All you have to do is pay attention. When there's nothing to gain, does she still show respect? When you're not in a position to solve her problem, does she still treat you with warmth? When the spotlight isn't on, does her attitude toward you remain consistent? Those are the checkpoints. You don't need drama. You don't need suspicion. You just need observation. This is where discernment separates men who suffer endlessly from men who protect their peace. You don't have to panic when you see affection fade under convenience. You don't have to beg for love that was never real. You simply have to tell the truth. This wasn't love. It was a transaction. And then you step away with clarity, not confusion. Let me make this practical. Stop rewarding surface-level loyalty. Stop mistaking kindness in public for commitment in private. Stop assuming gratitude equals devotion. Gratitude is temporary. Values are permanent. If you want lasting respect, you need to align with someone who lives by values, not someone who chases benefits. Here's the punchline I want you to burn into your memory. Benefits can buy affection, but only values sustain respect. And respect is the oxygen of a relationship. Without it, the bond suffocates, no matter how much chemistry or history you share. So the real question isn't, does she love me now? The real question is, will she still honor me when there's nothing to gain? If the answer is yes, you've found a woman whose character is deeper than circumstance. If the answer is no, you've just saved yourself years of wasted time. Either way, you win, because clarity is a victory. When you strip away the noise, the selfies, the words, and the weekend highs, it all comes down to two silent tests. How she handles freedom when no one is watching, and how she treats you when she doesn't need you anymore. Those are the moments that reveal her true character, not the curated ones, not the rehearsed ones. Because think about it, anyone can act loyal when eyes are on them. Anyone can play affectionate when they're leaning on you. But real loyalty shows when there's no reward, no spotlight, no incentive. That's when you discover if you've been loved or leveraged, valued or used. This isn't about living in suspicion. It's about living with wisdom. Suspicion makes you paranoid. Wisdom makes you prepared. The difference is subtle but life-saving. A suspicious man chases shadows. A wise man simply observes patterns and adjusts his investment accordingly. And that's what you owe yourself. Investment in clarity, not in illusion. If you're with a woman who passes both tests, treat that as the rare gift it is. A woman who guards the bond even in silence, who honors you even in independence. That's not common. That's gold. Don't take it for granted. Because in a world of temporary performances, finding consistency is the prize. And if she fails these tests, don't waste your life negotiating with red flags. Don't plead with someone's character to change. Clarity is painful, but it's merciful. It frees you to stop paying for loyalty that was only staged and start building with someone who lives by values. Men, your peace depends on who you allow close. Protect it like your future depends on it, because it does. If this gave you clarity, don't keep it to yourself. Hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and drop a comment about what resonated most. Awareness is your shield. Wisdom is your weapon. Use both, and you'll never look at love the same way again. Most men make the same fatal mistake. They assume a woman's looks, charm, and words are enough proof of her value. And then they wonder why they end up in toxic, draining relationships that leave them broken. The truth? She was showing you who she was all along. You just didn't know how to see it. The difference between wasting years and protecting your future comes down to this: testing her character before you commit. And in this video, I'll show you 5 tests that no woman can fake. These 5 tests will reveal if she's truly worth your time or if you should walk away before she destroys you. As a psychologist and relationship coach, I've spent years helping men untangle the damage caused by choosing the wrong partner. And I promise you, every single case had one thing in common. They ignored the early signs. That's why I create videos like this. So, subscribe, like, and share your own story in the comments. What was the biggest red flag you overlooked? I read every single one, and your story may help another man wake up. Now, let's break down why testing is the only way to truly protect yourself. Most men step into relationships blind. You meet a woman, you're taken by her looks, her charm, maybe the way she makes you feel in the first few weeks, and you stop there. You assume that what you see on the surface is who she really is. That's where the biggest mistake begins. Attraction blinds you, and in that blindness, you hand over your time, your money, your energy, and eventually your peace of mind, without ever checking if she deserves it. I've seen men waste years this way. Picture a man who invests 2 full years in a woman who keeps him around as an option. She enjoys his attention, his effort, his resources, but deep down, she never planned to truly commit. He only realizes this after he's drained, emotionally and financially. That man didn't fail because he wasn't enough. He failed because he never tested her. Testing a woman is not about playing games. It's about self-preservation. It's about knowing if she brings more value than just temporary excitement. Think of it like hiring someone for the most important role in your life. Would you bring them on without an interview, without a trial run? Of course not. Yet most men do exactly that in love, and the cost is always higher than they expect. Here's the truth that hurts. Women are constantly evaluating men, whether they admit it or not. But too many men never think to evaluate back. They wait to be chosen. They hope they're good enough. That mindset is why you end up trapped in dynamics where you are the one giving, and she is the one taking. The shift starts when you flip the script. You are not the applicant. You are not waiting for her approval. You are the one holding the standards. You are the one deciding if she measures up. Testing isn't about being cruel. It's about protecting your future from years of regret. When you finally understand that, something powerful happens. The fear of losing her disappears, and the question changes. It's no longer, will she choose me? It becomes, do I even want her in my life after I test her character? That shift, right there, is where you start to take back control. Now let's get practical. These are the basic tests that every man should run on a woman before giving her his time, his energy, or his heart. They are simple, but the way she responds will tell you more about her character than weeks of small talk. Number 1, the respect test. Ask her for something small. It could be meeting you at a certain location, bringing a book you mentioned, or respecting the time you agreed on. Her reaction tells you everything. If she does it with ease, she respects you and the interaction. If she rolls her eyes, makes excuses, or acts like you're asking for too much, what she's really saying is that your time and effort are worth less than hers. That is not respect. It's entitlement. Number 2, the flexibility test. Change the plan slightly and watch how she handles it. Life is full of unpredictability. A woman who can adapt to a small change, like meeting at a different cafe or adjusting the schedule, shows that she's easygoing and cooperative. But if she throws a fit over something minor, imagine what happens when real challenges appear. That's not flexibility, that's fragility. Number 3, the investment test. A relationship is supposed to be mutual, not one-sided. Pay attention to whether she's willing to invest effort, time, or even small resources into the connection. Does she ever suggest a place, contribute to a date, or make a gesture that shows she's not just there to consume? If everything is always on you, planning, paying, providing, that's not partnership. That's her using you as a service provider. Number 4, the boundary test. State a clear preference or a personal limit. Maybe it's how often you're available for calls or how you don't tolerate disrespectful jokes. Watch if she respects it or tries to push past it. A woman who can honor boundaries will build with you. A woman who constantly tests, manipulates, or pressures you to bend shows you early on that she doesn't care about your standards, only her own comfort. Number 5, the gratitude test. Do something thoughtful and see if she acknowledges it. Gratitude isn't about grand speeches. It's about showing appreciation for the effort you put in. A simple thank you, a smile, or a gesture back. If she treats your effort as if it's owed to her, if she never expresses appreciation, understand this. The longer you stay, the more she will drain without giving anything in return. Here's the beauty of these tests. A woman with genuine interest and good character won't even realize she's being tested. She'll naturally pass because respect, flexibility, investment, boundaries, and gratitude are part of who she is. But if she fails, she'll fail quickly, and that saves you months or years of wasted energy. Remember, these tests aren't traps. They are windows. They reveal whether you're dealing with a partner who will stand beside you, or someone who sees you as nothing more than an opportunity to exploit. Once you've run the basic tests, it's time to go deeper. The advanced tests expose traits that women can usually hide in the honeymoon phase. These are the moments where masks slip and the truth comes out. Number 1, the service test. Watch how she treats people who can do nothing for her. Waiters, drivers, employees, even strangers. If she is kind, respectful, and patient, that tells you her character runs deeper than surface charm. But if she is rude, dismissive, or condescending, understand this. One day, when she no longer needs you, that same treatment will come your way. Number 2, the stress test. Life will test you both with problems, setbacks, and disappointments. How does she react when the unexpected hits? If she faces challenges with composure, problem solving, or at least honesty, she's showing maturity. But if her first instinct is to explode, blame others, or spiral into drama, that's not temporary. It's her default wiring. And if she can't handle small storms, she will sink you both in bigger ones. Number 3, the contribution test. Ask yourself a simple question. Does she add value to your life, or does she mainly take? Contribution doesn't always mean money. It could be her energy, encouragement, her ability to make your day better, or even practical support. A woman who contributes makes you stronger. A woman who only consumes drains you, leaving you weaker with every passing month. Number 4, the loyalty test. Pay attention to how she speaks about you when you're not in the room. Do her friends hear her praising you, respecting you, showing that she's proud to be with you? Or does she criticize, mock, or downplay you behind your back? A loyal woman builds your reputation in private. A disloyal one undermines you the moment you're not around. Number 5, the consistency test. This is where many men get fooled. Listen carefully. Words are cheap. Anyone can say the right things early on. The real measure is consistency. Does her behavior align with what she promised? Does she follow through? Or does she live in contradictions? A woman who is inconsistent will keep you in a cycle of confusion, always hoping she'll become who she said she was, but never seeing it happen. These advanced tests matter because they cut through performance. In the early stages, everyone is on their best behavior. But no one can fake kindness to strangers forever. No one can fake loyalty when pressure comes. No one can fake contribution when real life demands it. That's why these tests reveal who she truly is. The bottom line is simple. A woman with strong character doesn't just pass these tests, she embodies them. The rest will eventually expose themselves, and your job is to catch it early before you've invested more than you can afford to lose. Running the tests is only half the battle. The real power comes from knowing how to read her reactions, because the way she responds under pressure, even in small ways, reveals her true level of interest, respect, and long-term potential. Let's break it down into 4 clear categories. A high-interest, good character response is the gold standard. This is the woman who doesn't just comply with your requests, she embraces them. You ask her to meet at a certain place, she shows up on time, maybe even brings something extra. You test her flexibility, and she laughs off the change, enjoying the spontaneity. You set a boundary, and she respects it, sometimes even thanking you for being clear. These are the women who add value effortlessly, because it's who they are. With her, life feels lighter, not heavier. A moderate interest response is far more common. She'll do the things you ask, but only at the minimum level. She won't resist, but she also won't add extra effort. She respects some boundaries, but occasionally pushes just to see if you'll stay consistent. She invests when asked, but rarely initiates. This kind of woman isn't terrible, but she's not fully in. She's lukewarm. And a lukewarm partner becomes a long-term burden, because you'll always feel like you're pulling her along rather than walking together. A low-interest response is where most men waste years of their lives. This is the woman who negotiates every request, delays simple things, or constantly makes excuses. She doesn't respect your boundaries and instead argues with them. She expects you to do all the planning, all the investing, all the effort, while she gives little to nothing in return. She might still enjoy your attention, but she doesn't value you. Men stay with women like this because they confuse attention with affection. But make no mistake, this woman has already categorized you as low value. And then there's the explosive response. This one is the loudest, clearest signal to run immediately. When a woman reacts to a reasonable boundary with anger, when she interprets a simple request as an attack, when she turns minor tests into full-blown drama, she's showing you exactly what life with her will be like. Explosive responses don't get better over time. They escalate. A woman who punishes you for having standards will turn your future into a cycle of chaos and emotional warfare. Here's the truth. One explosive reaction tells you more than 100 sweet words. Most men ignore it, hoping it was just a bad day. Don't make that mistake. A single uncontrolled outburst in the face of reasonable expectations is all the proof you need to walk away. Because if she can't respect your tests now, she will never respect your standards later. Let's talk about the biggest mistake men make when it comes to testing women. It isn't choosing the wrong test. It isn't forgetting the steps. The fatal mistake is refusing to test at all. Why? Because deep down, too many men are terrified of losing female attention. This fear is called a scarcity mindset. It's the belief that opportunities with women are rare, that if you push back, if you set standards, if you walk away, you may never get another chance. Men trapped in scarcity accept poor behavior, excuse disrespect and tolerate chaos because they're afraid this woman might be their only option. That fear turns them from leaders into followers, from choosers into beggars. And the more desperate you act, the faster her respect for you evaporates. I've watched countless men fall into this trap. They see red flags. They feel the disrespect. They know she's failing their unspoken tests. But instead of acting, they tell themselves stories. She'll change. It's not that bad. At least I'm not alone. What they don't realize is that every time they ignore their own standards, they teach her one thing. She can do whatever she wants, and he'll still stay. Now let's flip the frame. An abundance mentality is the exact opposite. It's not arrogance, it's reality. There are millions of women in the world. Many of them would be thrilled to be with a man of discipline, standards, and value. When you understand that, the fear of loss disappears. You stop seeing her as the prize. You start recognizing that you are the prize. Here's the ultimate shift. Power in relationships doesn't come from clinging. It comes from walking away. When you have the courage to leave a woman who fails your tests, you send a message louder than words. You prove to her and to yourself that you will not compromise your dignity for attention. That single decision transforms how women treat you and how you treat yourself. Never forget this. The true strength of a man isn't measured by how long he can endure disrespect. It's measured by how quickly he can cut it off and move forward. The moment you stop fearing the loss of one woman is the moment you gain control over every relationship in your life. There are times when testing isn't about negotiation, patience, or giving her more chances. There are times when a failed test means one thing only: leave immediately. Because certain traits aren't quirks, they're warnings of long-term disaster. If you ignore them, you're not being kind. You're being reckless with your own future. The first is serious personality dysfunction. Women who display traits of extreme volatility, manipulation, or narcissism will create chaos no matter how much love or effort you pour in. These aren't phases. They are ingrained patterns that intensify under stress. Staying with her doesn't heal her. It only breaks you. The second is victim mentality. A woman who constantly blames external factors for her life, who never takes accountability, will eventually assign you the role of caretaker. You'll become responsible for her happiness, her failures, her every disappointment, and no matter how much you give, it will never be enough. The third is addiction. Whether it's substances, compulsive behaviors, or even social media obsession, addiction takes priority over everything, including you. If her loyalty is split between you and her addiction, you will always lose. The fourth is financial irresponsibility. Watch how she handles money. A woman who overspends, lives in debt, or feels entitled to your resources without contributing will drain not only your wallet, but also your peace of mind. Financial chaos is one of the fastest ways to destroy a man's stability. The fifth is deep family dysfunction that she refuses to confront. Everyone carries some scars, but if she brings unresolved trauma into the relationship without any effort to heal, it becomes your burden. Her battles become your daily life, and her chaos becomes the foundation of your home. Here's the truth men avoid. No amount of patience, money, or sacrifice can turn these traits into stability. You cannot fix what she refuses to face. The fantasy that love will change her is the lie that keeps men stuck in miserable, destructive relationships. Remember this line and let it burn into your memory. Beauty does not erase dysfunction. No matter how attractive she is, no matter how strong the chemistry feels, none of it compensates for patterns that will ruin your life. The bravest thing a man can do isn't holding on. It's walking away before he loses himself. At this point, the message should be crystal clear. Testing women isn't about manipulation, cruelty, or playing games. It's about survival. It's about clarity. It's about protecting yourself from years of wasted time, from financial ruin, from emotional collapse. Because when you test, you see reality. And reality, no matter how uncomfortable, is always better than illusion. When you apply these tests with discipline, you stop being the desperate man hoping to be chosen. You stop being the man who compromises his dignity for attention. Instead, you become selective. You become a man with standards. You become the one who decides who earns access to your life. That's when everything changes. Because women can sense it instantly. A man who tests, who enforces, who walks away when necessary, radiates strength. And strength is always respected. But here's the brutal truth. Most men will hear this, nod their heads, maybe even feel the sting of recognition, and still do nothing. They'll keep ignoring red flags. They'll keep clinging to women who fail every test. They'll keep hoping that love alone can turn dysfunction into harmony. And those men will pay the price. You don't have to. The choice is yours. You can continue down the same road, repeating the same patterns, or you can draw the line today. You can take these tests, use them, and finally take back control. Don't wait until your life is in pieces. Don't wait until your confidence is shattered. Don't wait until you've given years to the wrong woman. Test early. Test consistently. And never apologize for protecting your future. If this message hits you hard, it's supposed to. That's how growth begins. Now, if you want more real-world tools to keep your power and build relationships on your terms, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement makes sure more men hear the truths that algorithms try to bury. Remember this, you are not the applicant. You are not waiting for approval. You are the prize. Start living like it. Let me ask you something. Are you sure she's with you for you, or just for what you give her? Because too many men mistake being used for being loved. They pay for everything. They chase endlessly. They tolerate shallow effort, all while telling themselves it's just part of dating. But the truth is, the cost of ignoring the warning signs isn't just financial. You lose your time, your pride, and your sense of worth. Don't let that be you. Stick with me, because I'm going to expose the top 5 signs she's using you, and I'll show you exactly what to do when you see them. This video could be the start of a turning point for you, the moment you decide you'll never again allow yourself to be used. So before we continue, hit subscribe, tap like, and write a simple commitment in the comments. I refuse to be used. That's your first step toward reclaiming your power. And right after this, we'll begin with the first sign, the one that instantly exposes when you've stopped being her partner and started being her wallet. Number 1, she makes you pay for everything. Let's be honest, if you find yourself constantly reaching for your wallet every time you see her, something is off. I'm not talking about being generous or treating a woman you care about. I'm talking about a pattern where you have become the default provider for every single outing, every single coffee, every single meal, every single ride. If you feel like a walking ATM machine instead of a man in a relationship, you are already in dangerous territory. Here's the brutal truth. When a woman truly respects you and genuinely values being with you, she will never try to drain you financially. In fact, she will often do the opposite. She'll say, "Hey, that's too expensive. Let's do something simpler." Or she'll offer to chip in because she doesn't want you carrying the entire weight. Why? Because love is about partnership, not consumption. Respect is about balance, not exploitation. Now contrast that with a woman who never even offers to pay. She doesn't hesitate to order the most expensive item on the menu, the finest wine, or the highest priced dessert, because she knows you'll foot the bill. That's not just thoughtlessness. That's entitlement. And entitlement is one of the clearest red flags you can ever encounter. Some men ignore this sign because they've been conditioned to believe that being a gentleman means paying for everything without question. They tell themselves it's just how dating works. But what they don't realize is that genuine women who are sincerely interested, are more concerned about how you're doing than what they can get from you. They don't want you to go broke trying to impress them. They don't want you to carry a financial burden that makes you stressed or resentful. The psychology behind this is simple. When a woman insists you pay for everything, she is either testing your boundaries or using you outright. If she is testing, she wants to see whether you are the type of man who stands up for himself or the type who silently accepts being drained. If she is using you, she already knows the answer. You're too smitten, too desperate, or too blind to recognize what's happening. Either way, the result is the same. You are losing money, losing control, and slowly losing your self-respect. So how do you handle this? You run your own test. Next time, suggest she pays for something small. Watch her reaction carefully. If she gladly contributes, if she even insists on sharing the cost, you have a woman who values fairness. But if she becomes irritated, defensive, or even offended, you now know the truth. She never saw you as a partner. She saw you as a sponsor. I've seen men justify this behavior saying, "It's not a big deal. I can afford it." But the issue isn't the money. It's the mindset. The moment you normalize being treated like a bottomless wallet, you set the tone for the entire relationship. And relationships built on one-sided giving always collapse. Not because of a lack of money, but because of the lack of respect that follows. A healthy woman who's genuinely interested in you will protect your resources. She'll encourage moderation. She'll value experiences with you more than price tags. The wrong woman will see you as an opportunity to upgrade her lifestyle without lifting a finger. Here's the line you need to remember. A woman who truly values you will try to protect your money, not drain it. Number 2. She already told you she just wants to be friends. This one is going to sting, but it's better you hear it now than 5 years from now when you've wasted your time, energy, and resources. When a woman looks you in the eye and says, "I just see you as a friend," she has drawn a line in the sand. She's telling you that no matter how much money you spend, no matter how many favors you do, no matter how hard you try, you're not going to cross into her romantic world. That door is locked, and yet too many men still stand outside knocking with their wallets. Why do men do this? Because deep down, they're hoping she'll change her mind. They convince themselves that persistence will win her over, that one day she'll wake up and realize he was the one all along. Hollywood sells this fantasy. Reality destroys it. When a woman places you in the friend category, it's usually permanent. Now, some women are honest. They say, "I don't want anything more than friendship." That statement, in itself, isn't manipulation. The manipulation begins when you refuse to accept her boundary but keep pouring in effort. At that point, you're not a victim of her dishonesty. You're a victim of your own denial. She may accept the gifts, the dinners, the rides, the favors, but only because you keep offering. Why wouldn't she? You've volunteered to be her unpaid assistant. Think about the psychology here. She already told you what she wants, nothing beyond friendship. But instead of listening, you're writing your own script where she'll magically change her mind. You're ignoring her words and chasing your fantasy. And while you chase, she benefits. She gets the attention, the validation, the resources, all without having to invest anything in return. That's not a relationship. That's a one-man show, and you're the only actor on stage. Here's the harsh part. If you continue giving after she's drawn the line, you are training her to use you. She might not have started with that intention, but by refusing to respect her words, you put yourself in a position where she can only take. And the more you give, the less she respects you. So how do you handle this? Believe her. The moment she says she only wants friendship, take her at her word. Stop trying to change her mind. If you can genuinely handle being just friends, then fine, keep the friendship, but strip away all the extras. No more romantic dinners, no more expensive gifts, no more bending over backward to impress her. If she wants your company, she can meet you halfway. But if your heart is in it, and you know you can't handle being just friends, then walk away. Protect your time, your energy, and your emotional health. It's better to lose one woman than to lose yourself trying to win someone who never wanted you in the first place. Men waste years in this trap, stuck in cycles of wishful thinking when the truth was spoken from the start. Stop bargaining with words that were already clear. She doesn't want you that way, and no amount of persistence, spending, or patience is going to rewrite her decision. Here's the line you need to remember. If she says you're just a friend, believe her. Don't pay for the privilege of being ignored. Number 3. She avoids serious conversations. You can learn a lot about how someone truly feels about you by paying attention to the depth of your conversations. When a woman is genuinely interested in you, she will want to know you, not just what you do for her, but who you are. She'll be curious about your past, your values, your ambitions, and your vision for the future. She'll ask questions because she's invested in the possibility of building something real. Now let's flip that around. If every conversation feels shallow, if she never asks about your family, your dreams, or your struggles, that is not an accident. That is a choice. It means she is intentionally keeping things on the surface level because she doesn't want to connect emotionally. She isn't trying to build intimacy. She's simply passing time, enjoying the perks, and leaving you out of her inner world. Think about the last few times you spoke with her. Did she steer the conversation toward herself? Did she keep things light and trivial while dodging anything meaningful? Did she change the subject every time you tried to talk about something real? That's a red flag. A woman who avoids serious conversations isn't just shy or distracted. She's uninterested in creating a bond. And here's the painful truth. If she doesn't let you in, it's because she doesn't want you in. People naturally share details with those they care about. If she opens up about her fears, her family, or her aspirations, it shows she's placing trust in you. If she avoids those conversations altogether, she's telling you without words, "You're not important enough to know me deeply." Some men misinterpret this avoidance. They think she's just private, or that with enough time she'll start opening up. Sometimes that's true, but usually when a woman is interested, she gives signals of openness from the beginning. It doesn't take years for her to ask how your day really went, or to share something vulnerable about herself. If weeks or months pass and all you talk about is food, places to go, or random small talk, you're not moving forward. You're standing still. So what should you do? Test her willingness to engage. Bring up something personal and meaningful. Share a piece of yourself. Maybe a challenge you're facing, or a future goal. Watch how she reacts. If she listens, asks follow-up questions, and reciprocates with her own experiences, that's healthy. But if she dismisses, deflects, or simply shows no interest, you have your answer. She doesn't want depth with you because she doesn't see you as someone worth building with. And here's where many men get stuck. They think that by providing more, spending more, or trying harder, she'll eventually care enough to open up. But emotional connection cannot be bought. It cannot be forced. If she isn't engaging on a deeper level now, she likely never will. Ask yourself this. Do you want to spend your life with someone who only wants your time, your money, or your company for entertainment, while refusing to share anything real about herself? Or do you want a partner who sees you, hears you, and values you enough to connect beyond the surface? The answer should be clear. Don't settle for shallow. Don't let yourself become a distraction in someone else's boredom. Here's the line you need to remember. If all she wants is the free meal, not your mind, you're not dating, you're catering. Number 4, she's only available when it benefits her. Pay close attention to her availability. Does she suddenly become free the moment she wants dinner, a ride, or a night out, but disappear when you ask for her time? If she's only showing up when it serves her needs, then she's not building a relationship with you. She's managing a convenience. And you, unfortunately, are the convenience. This is one of the most obvious, but also one of the most ignored signs. Men see it happening, but they rationalize it. They think, she's just busy, or she has a lot going on. But notice the pattern. She's never too busy when she needs something from you. Somehow, her schedule magically clears up when she's hungry, bored, or looking for someone to sponsor an evening out. Think about it. You call her when you're free. She says no, she's busy, she's tired, she has other plans. But 2 days later, she's the one calling you, suddenly available. And it just so happens she's craving sushi or wants to check out a new club. She doesn't care what your schedule looks like. She doesn't care if you're tired or busy. She cares only that you're available when she decides you should be. That's not affection. That's control. And let's not ignore one of the biggest red flags. She shows up with friends you never invited. Imagine planning a date for 2, only for her to arrive with 3 friends in tow, expecting you to foot the entire bill. That's not a date. That's a setup. A woman who respects you would never put you in that position. But a woman who only sees you as a meal ticket? She won't even think twice. Here's the psychology behind it. People reveal their priorities through their consistency. If she consistently prioritizes you only when it benefits her, she is showing you that your value in her eyes is transactional. You are not a partner. You are an option, a resource, a utility, and as long as you allow it, she will continue treating you that way. So how do you test this? Say no. The next time she asks you out, tell her you can't make it. Watch how she reacts. If she gets upset, vanishes, or stops reaching out altogether, then you weren't important to her. You were just useful. But if she still makes time for you, even when she can't get what she wants, then maybe she values more than just the benefits. Too many men are afraid to say no because they think it will cost them the relationship. But if saying no destroys what you had, then you never had a relationship in the first place. You had a contract where you were the provider and she was the consumer. That's not love. That's a transaction disguised as romance. Ask yourself, do you want to be a man she respects and makes time for? Or do you want to be the placeholder she uses when it's convenient? If you keep allowing yourself to be a backup plan, don't be surprised when she treats you like one. Here's the line you need to remember. If her calendar only opens when she's hungry, you're not her man. You're her meal ticket. Number 5. She invests no emotions in you. One of the clearest ways to measure whether a woman is genuinely interested in you is by looking at her emotional investment. Not her words, not her excuses, her actions. Does she reach out when you don't? Does she remember the details you share, the things that matter to you? Does she celebrate your wins, support you when you're down, and make an effort to connect beyond the surface? If the answer is no, then you need to stop lying to yourself. She isn't emotionally invested in you. Picture this. You disappear for a few days, not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely busy or want to test the waters. Does she notice? Does she call? Does she check in? If the silence is met with more silence, then she doesn't care. You are not a priority. You are not on her mind. You are simply a convenient option she taps into when she's bored or wants something. Think about birthdays, anniversaries, or even small milestones. With technology today, remembering important dates takes seconds. If she can post selfies and scroll through feeds but can't be bothered to remember your birthday, that's not forgetfulness. That's disinterest. A woman who cares will make the effort, even in small ways, to show you she values you. A woman who doesn't care won't even pretend. Here's the psychology at play. Emotional investment is costly. It requires time, energy, and vulnerability. When someone avoids making that investment, it's because they don't see the relationship as valuable enough to warrant it. They may still accept your company, your money, your attention, but they'll never give back what really matters. Without emotional reciprocity, what you have isn't a relationship. It's an arrangement. And let's be clear, not every woman who is emotionally distant is intentionally using you. Sometimes she's just not interested but doesn't want to say it outright. That's why you must learn to distinguish between indifference and genuine care. If you find yourself doing all the work, sending all the messages, planning all the meetups, and keeping the connection alive by yourself, you're not in a relationship. You're in a performance. And she's just the audience. So what should you do? Step back and observe. Stop being the one to always initiate. Give space and see what happens. If she reaches out, if she shows she cares, then maybe she was simply reserved at first. But if the silence remains, if the effort is still one-sided, then you have your answer. She's not emotionally invested. And without emotional investment, there is no foundation for anything real. Here's the truth most men avoid. You cannot make someone care. You cannot buy interest, force affection, or earn love through persistence alone. If she's not giving you emotional energy, you're not in her heart. You're just in her spare time. Ask yourself honestly, do you want to build a life with someone who sees you as nothing more than a distraction? Or do you want to be with someone who meets you halfway, who shows you through her words and actions that you matter? Here's the line you need to remember. No emotional investment means no real connection. Don't mistake her boredom for love. Now you've seen the 5 signs. If 1 or 2 show up in your relationship, it's time to pause and pay attention. If 3 or more are present, there's no question about it. You're not in a relationship. You're in an arrangement where you're being drained. And the longer you ignore these truths, the deeper you sink into a role you were never meant to play. Men often tell themselves that things will change, that if they just keep giving, eventually she'll see their value. But relationships don't work that way. Respect isn't earned through endless sacrifice. Love isn't built by ignoring red flags. Every time you excuse her lack of effort, every time you allow yourself to be used, you are giving away your power. And once that power is gone, so is your ability to lead, to set boundaries, and to protect your own worth. It's time to flip the script. Instead of being the man who tolerates crumbs, become the man who demands respect. Instead of being an option that she turns to when it's convenient, become the man who knows his own value and refuses to settle for less. Because the truth is, you teach people how to treat you. If you allow yourself to be used, you will be used. If you set clear standards and walk away from anyone who doesn't meet them, you will attract women who actually want to build with you, not just take from you. So here's my challenge to you. Stop justifying, stop hoping, and stop tolerating. Start paying attention to the patterns, start enforcing your boundaries, and start making choices that protect your time, your money, and your emotions. If this message hit home, share it with another man who needs to hear it. Drop your experience in the comments, because your story might save someone else from making the same mistakes. And if you found value here, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss the truths that can protect your future. Remember this: stop being an option in someone else's game. Start being the man who chooses, not the man who's being used. Here's the danger. When you're in love, you excuse things you'd never tolerate otherwise. You call them small, you call them harmless, but in reality, they're signs of disrespect. And the longer you overlook them, the more power she takes, until you no longer recognize the man you used to be. But you don't have to let it get that far. The truth is simple. If she does certain things, they're not quirks, they're warnings. And today, I'll walk you through 10 things she does that should make you walk away immediately before the damage is permanent. Before I walk you through the first sign, make sure to subscribe and like this video. And while you're here, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I want to know how far this message travels, because men in every city face the same struggles in relationships. Now let's get into it, because the very first behavior may look like harmless fun, but in reality, it's the seed of betrayal. Number 1. If she still flirts with other men while she's supposed to be with you, that's not just harmless fun. It's a boundary test. A woman who is truly invested in you doesn't scatter her energy around like confetti. She pours it into the man she respects. When she flirts openly, whether it's with a waiter, a co-worker, or some random guy passing by, she's sending a message loud and clear. You're not enough to hold my focus. And the moment you accept it, you're giving her silent permission to disrespect you again and again. A man who tolerates this behavior sets himself up for betrayal. Maybe it won't happen today or tomorrow, but the door is already wide open. Flirting is rarely innocent. It's a rehearsal for the next opportunity. Don't sugarcoat it as just her personality or brush it off as playful. That small crack in the foundation of trust always spreads into something much bigger. If she needs the validation of other men just to feel alive, you're not her choice, you're her placeholder. You'll waste precious time and energy competing with an invisible crowd she invites into your relationship. That's not love. That's insecurity wearing lipstick. Respect is the cornerstone of intimacy. When a woman chooses to flirt right in front of you, she's declaring that her ego boost matters more than your dignity. You can either walk away now or stay and watch your confidence dissolve piece by piece. And if you choose to stay, know this: you're signing up for a lifetime of doubt, jealousy, and silent pain you never deserved. Number 2, pay attention to how she treats her phone around you. If every time you reach for it, her body stiffens, her voice sharpens, or she suddenly needs to snatch it away, that's not just about privacy. That's secrecy. And secrecy is the enemy of trust. In a healthy relationship, two people don't have to live under constant surveillance, but there's a natural openness. If she acts like her phone is a vault you're never allowed to see, the question you need to ask yourself is simple. What's in there that she doesn't want you to find? Messages, hidden conversations, or is it simply the fact that she doesn't respect you enough to be transparent? Think about it. Every night, you lay your head next to hers, trusting her with your safety, your peace, your future. If she can't even trust you with something as trivial as a text message or a call log, How can she possibly be trusted with your heart, your dreams, or your life? The little things reveal the bigger picture. Don't get caught in the excuse of everyone deserves privacy. Privacy is one thing. But when she becomes defensive, cagey, or evasive the moment her phone comes up, that's not privacy. That's a wall. And walls in relationships aren't built to protect love. They're built to hide lies. You can't build intimacy on suspicion. If her phone feels like a locked safe you're never supposed to touch, you're not in a relationship. You're in the waiting room of betrayal. And the longer you stay, the more you'll pay in trust, in peace, and in dignity. Number 3. Watch what happens when it comes time to define the relationship. If months have gone by and she still dodges the question, refuses to call you her boyfriend, or avoids introducing you properly to others, that's not an oversight. That's a choice. And the choice is to keep you in limbo, close enough to benefit from your attention, but never close enough to commit. This is where a lot of men trip themselves up. You think she just needs more time, or maybe she's scared of labels. But here's the truth. If a woman wants you, she won't hesitate to claim you. She won't hide you away like some secret. Commitment phobia isn't about needing space. It's about keeping options open. Ask yourself this. If she truly values you, why would she hesitate to give you a simple title that acknowledges what you already are? Relationships are built on clarity. If she's withholding that clarity, it's because she doesn't see you as permanent. She sees you as convenient. And don't fool yourself into thinking patience will change her mind. If after 3 months she still refuses to define you, then she already has. You're not her partner. You're her placeholder. A man who knows his worth doesn't wait around for breadcrumbs of recognition. He doesn't beg to be claimed. If she can't proudly say you're her man, then she's silently telling you she's not yours either. That's not commitment. It's stalling. And the longer you tolerate it, the deeper you sink into the role of a temporary option in someone else's life. Number 4. Pay close attention to how much she actually cares about you. Real care doesn't have to be dramatic. It shows up in the small, consistent ways she treats you. When a woman truly values a man, nurturing him comes naturally. She checks in on you. She supports you. She notices when something feels off. It's not about grand gestures. It's about the daily signals that you matter to her. But if she never asks how you're doing, never shows interest in your struggles, never lifts a finger unless there's something in it for her, then you're not in a relationship, you're in a transaction. And here's the dangerous part. The longer you invest in someone like this, the more you'll drain yourself trying to win affection that simply isn't there. A woman who only takes but never gives has no real bond with you. She's using your time, your energy, maybe even your resources, but not building a connection. You'll feel it deep down. The one-sidedness, the imbalance, the emptiness after every interaction. Don't ignore that feeling. Because the truth is, love isn't a vending machine where you pour in effort and expect to get something back. If she can't meet you with the same level of care you bring to her, then she's not choosing you, she's consuming you. A strong man recognizes when the scales are unbalanced. He doesn't keep pouring into a bottomless pit. If she doesn't show genuine care, it's not because she forgot or because she's too busy. It's because you're not her priority. And the sooner you see that, the sooner you can walk away with your dignity intact. Number 5. Pay attention to whether she keeps her word. It might sound simple, but this is one of the clearest reflections of her character. When someone tells you they'll do something and actually follows through, it shows respect, reliability, and integrity. When she constantly makes promises but never delivers, that's not just forgetfulness, it's disregard. Think about it. Words are the building blocks of trust. Every "I'll call you," every "I'll be there," every "I'll take care of it" is a tiny contract. When she repeatedly breaks those contracts, she's telling you something loud and clear. Your time and your trust don't matter. And if she can't honor the little commitments, what makes you think she'll honor the big ones? A relationship without accountability quickly becomes a breeding ground for resentment. You'll find yourself making excuses for her, lowering your expectations, and convincing yourself it's not a big deal. But it is. Because every time she doesn't follow through, she's showing you exactly how much, or how little, she values you. Respect isn't just about how she speaks to you when things are good. It's about whether her actions match her words when it counts. A woman who truly cares will protect her credibility with you, because she knows that consistency is the foundation of trust. If she doesn't keep her word, she doesn't respect you. And if she doesn't respect you, she can't truly love you. Don't ignore this. Broken promises are not accidents, they're patterns. And patterns reveal priorities. If you keep tolerating empty words, you'll end up in a relationship where nothing is solid. And eventually, you'll realize she never intended to build anything real with you at all. Number 6, notice where you rank in her life. Every man understands that people get busy. Work, family, personal obligations. But when a woman truly values you, she will carve out space for you no matter how crowded her schedule looks. If weeks go by and you're always the one waiting, always the one trying to squeeze into the leftover corners of her time, then you are not her priority. This is one of the most painful truths men ignore. You tell yourself she's overwhelmed, she's just stressed, or that things will get better. But if you're only seeing her once in a while, if you're always competing with her phone, her friends, or her endless distractions, then you're already getting the answer. You're not important enough in her world. The hard part is this. People make time for what they care about. Period. A woman who loves you doesn't need a reminder to show up. She wants to see you. She wants to hear you. She wants to be near you. And even when life throws chaos her way, she'll fight to keep you close, because that's what commitment looks like. If she can't or won't do that, then you're not her man. You're a convenience. You're the when I feel like it option. And no man should ever accept being treated like a side note. Don't confuse her excuses for effort. If you're not a priority, it's not because she's too busy. It's because she's chosen to put you last. And a man who values himself knows that being someone's backup plan is never love. It's slow destruction. Number 7. Watch for double standards. This is one of the clearest signs of imbalance in a relationship. If she feels free to do things that she condemns you for, that's not love. It's control. Maybe she goes out with her friends whenever she wants, but the second you make plans, she accuses you of being distant. Maybe she keeps her phone locked down tight, but demands full access to yours. Or maybe she enjoys her freedom, while you're expected to constantly report in. This isn't about fairness, it's about power. A double standard is her way of placing herself above you, setting rules she doesn't intend to follow, and forcing you to play by them. It's the mark of someone who doesn't see you as an equal partner, but as someone to manage and contain. The trap many men fall into is thinking they can negotiate with this imbalance. You start compromising, bending, justifying, telling yourself that keeping the peace is worth the sacrifice. But over time, you realize the peace only exists for her. You're the one carrying the weight, while she enjoys the freedom. A healthy relationship is built on reciprocity. What's good for her should be good for you. What's unacceptable for her should be unacceptable for you. If the rules don't apply equally, then you're not in a partnership. You're in a hierarchy. And in that hierarchy, you're not the leader, you're the servant. Don't tolerate it. The moment you allow double standards, you sign away your respect. And once your respect is gone, everything else, love, attraction, intimacy, follows right out the door. Number 8. Pay attention to how she speaks to you. A woman who constantly puts you down, mocks you, or makes subtle jabs at your confidence isn't just joking around. She's tearing at the foundation of your self-worth. These digs might seem small in the moment. A sarcastic comment about your appearance, a dismissive remark about your job, a laugh at your expense in front of others. But over time, they chip away at the way you see yourself. This behavior isn't love. It's power disguised as humor. Some women thrive on making their partner feel small because it makes them feel bigger. And if you tolerate it, you'll find yourself second-guessing everything, your choices, your value, even your identity. The cruel irony is that the more you shrink, the more control she gains. Respect isn't optional in a relationship. It's the oxygen that keeps it alive. If she can't speak to you with basic dignity, then she's not your partner. She's your critic. And no man should wake up every day to someone who treats him like a project to be fixed or a punchline to be mocked. The danger is subtle. At first you brush it off. You laugh along. But slowly you start believing the narrative she's feeding you. You begin to accept less, expect less, and settle for less. That's not love. That's emotional erosion. A woman who truly cares wants to lift you higher, not bury you deeper. If her words cut more than they heal, then you're not in a relationship. You're in a slow demolition of your spirit. Don't wait until there's nothing left of your confidence. Walk away before the damage becomes permanent. Number 9. Pay attention to how she treats the people closest to you. If she constantly criticizes your friends, mocks your family, or refuses to spend time with them, that's not just a personal preference. That's a red flag. Because when she disrespects the people who shaped you, supported you, and stood by you, she's indirectly disrespecting you. Family and friends are extensions of your identity. They're your foundation, your history, your support system. A woman who truly loves you may not always agree with them, but she will make an effort to show courtesy and respect, because she understands that they are important to you. When she dismisses or devalues them, she's really dismissing and devaluing the man who values them. This tactic often goes deeper than it seems. Sometimes it's not about disliking your family at all. It's about isolating you. By cutting you off from the people who ground you, she gains more control. The fewer outside voices you hear, the easier it is for her to shape your reality. That's not partnership. That's manipulation. Don't let her convince you that constant tension between her and your loved ones is normal. It isn't. Real love doesn't demand that you abandon the people who care about you most. It doesn't force you to choose between her and them. If she consistently belittles, avoids, or disrespects your friends and family, then understand this. She doesn't respect you either, because a woman who values you will honor the connections that matter to you. And if she can't, she's showing you exactly where you stand in her eyes, alone, cut off, and diminished. Number 10. Watch carefully when things go wrong. If every argument somehow ends with you apologizing, even when the mistake was clearly hers, you're not dealing with miscommunication. You're dealing with manipulation. This is what happens when she turns her mistakes into your fault. At first it's subtle. She forgets something important, but somehow you're blamed for not reminding her. She lashes out in anger, but you're accused of pushing her buttons. She crosses a boundary, yet you're the one left questioning whether your standards were too high. Over time, this pattern isn't just frustrating, it's destructive. This tactic is designed to confuse you, to make you doubt your own memory, your own judgment, even your own sanity. It's called gaslighting, and it's one of the most damaging forms of emotional control. The more you accept it, the more you start believing you really are the problem. And once you believe that, she no longer has to take responsibility for anything, because you'll carry it all. A man who lives under this kind of manipulation slowly loses his confidence, his peace, and eventually his identity. You'll feel yourself shrinking, apologizing for things you didn't do, questioning truths you know are real. That's not love. That's psychological warfare. A woman who refuses to own her mistakes will never be capable of building a healthy future with you. She will drain your spirit and erode your self-worth until you barely recognize yourself. If you notice this pattern, don't rationalize it, don't excuse it, leave. Because the longer you stay, the more of yourself you'll lose, and no relationship is worth your soul. You've just heard 10 signs that reveal exactly when it's time to walk away. And let me be clear, these aren't small quirks or innocent mistakes. These are patterns of behavior that, if ignored, will drain your energy, erode your confidence, and leave you questioning your worth as a man. Too many men stay in relationships like this because they're afraid of starting over. They convince themselves it will get better, that patience will pay off, or that love can fix anything. But love doesn't fix manipulation. Love doesn't erase disrespect. And love can't survive without trust. The longer you stay, the more you'll lose. Not just time, but self-respect, peace of mind, and in some cases, even the will to keep fighting. A man of value doesn't settle for scraps. He doesn't beg for attention, tolerate lies, or accept being treated like an afterthought. He knows that respect is the foundation of any relationship worth building, and the moment that respect is gone, the relationship is already broken. Walking away is not weakness. Walking away is strength. It's choosing yourself over chaos. It's choosing peace over drama. It's choosing a future where you can stand tall instead of shrinking smaller every day. Remember this. A woman who genuinely loves you will build you up, not break you down. She will add to your life, not strip it away. She will stand beside you, not against you. If you see yourself in any of these situations, don't stay silent. Share your experience in the comments because another man out there might need your story as his wake-up call. And if this message hit home for you, subscribe for more hard truths that every man needs to hear. Like this video, share it with someone who's struggling, and remember this one rule. You deserve a love that makes you stronger, never weaker.